Hey everybody, I am Daryl Roberts, known as Dr. Daryl. Welcome to this class. I've been waiting, I don't know. I really want to say I've been waiting months to teach this class, but it may have been longer than that, if I'm being honest. Let me just get started by letting you all know who I am. Those of you who are, I guess most people who are here probably know who I am, but I don't want to be so arrogant as to assume. I'm Daryl Roberts. I am a naturopathic doctor from Charlotte, North Carolina. I practice in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am virtual. I do a lot of work virtually. And for the last few years, I've had what is known as the Quantum Wellness Portal. In fact, yes, let me get in there because I can't hear sounds, but I'm hearing that there needs to be some muting. And I thought that I set it so that everyone would be muted when they came in. And I'm working a different system. So hang on one second. Let me see how I can get that done. It would be helpful, though, if everybody in here went ahead and muted themselves. All right. This is very interesting. This is very interesting because on my end, I'm using a completely different system that works with Zoom, and some of the controls are in different places than they normally are. All right, so I am going to ask that everybody here, please go ahead and mute yourselves as you come in. I would really, really appreciate that. All right. All right. Yeah, I have to find out where that particular setting is because again, I'm using a different system and it's on a different section here. But regardless, I'm Daryl Roberts and I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I have had this portal that many people are in right now. It's called the Quantum Wellness Portal. I've had it for a few years. And when I started working with the AO Scanner and I brought that and incorporated that into my practice, I was able to take my practice to a different level. And more people started joining the membership, people who had access to the Quantum Wellness Portal and access to the AO Scanner. And people started to pretty much demand that I create a course called, or a course for the AO Scanner on how I use the scanner in practice and just my tips to use the scanner overall. And at a certain point, I realized, well, I just have to make that course, and here we are. It starts tomorrow, the actual class, but tonight we're kicking off the portion of the class that has to do with energy, because that's not specific to the AO scanning class that I'm going to teach. Energy and frequency is a whole lecture in itself. And one of the things that I've decided that I want to do is to demystify the concept of energy, demystify the concept of frequency, and explain it a little bit better in a way that will help everybody to understand it a lot better. And it's one of the things that I really have decided is my passion, because so many people freak out when you start talking about energy. And so many people freak out when you start talking about frequency and quantum physics and quantum entanglement. And they don't necessarily understand that all of these things are natural. You're dealing with energy every day. You're dealing with frequency every day. And to be afraid of what is natural, to be afraid of what's around you, prohibits your ability to master it. It prohibits your ability to grow into whatever you would grow into if you had conquered it. I'm sure at one time, primitive man was afraid of water because, I mean, think about it. You walk to the shore and you look out and you can't see. You look and you can't see how far that goes, but as far as you see, there's water. And when you put your foot on it, you go down into it. And that's a fear in itself. You're like, oh crap, I'm used to walking on the ground. Now I put my foot on this thing and I sink. Well, I'm sure that the first couple of people who tried to do that freaked out. And then finally people say, oh, it's not that bad because it only goes up to my ankle. But if they keep walking, it goes up to their knee. And if that keeps walking, then it goes up to their thigh. And then finally it hits their head. And nature lets them know that if I keep going in this, I'm probably going to die. But if they stopped at the door of the water, they would never be able to conquer sea. So what ended up happening was eventually they created boats. And they learned to master the water that at one point they didn't even understand. But if they stayed in the fear mode, they never would get to the point of mastering it so that they could cross it and then find out if there's something on the other side. Same with air. People probably looked up at birds for millions of years and mesmerized at something, it defies logic. Gravity, once you figured out that it was there, it defies logic that you could defy that. Much less do it with an instrument that is tons in weight. But fear eventually got past people and they were able to manipulate the atoms and or particles in the air and learn how to use what's in the air in order to lift up, get off the ground, and stay there. Well, it doesn't appear that people have taken that same approach when it comes to energy and quantum physics and quantum entanglement. It seems as though people have gone backwards and decided that they don't want to deal with it. It's too spooky. It's too woo-woo. And it's not something that they really want much to do with. So my goal is to try to get you over that hump and to try to figure out what about it you might be able to conquer. All right, I am going to take a pause here because it looks like, hold on. All right, I'm actually able to see that there is somebody. Hold on. Hold on. I apologize for those who might be watching this in the replay. I'll try to edit this out. There are so many people on here that it's difficult for me to find the culprit. All right. Sorry. Listen, I apologize. Whoever it is that is not muted, please mute yourself. There's nothing. At this point, there's nothing that I can do. So I can't get in there and do the mute all because it's just not giving me that option. And I cannot find, there are a couple of people that I'm getting information that are unmuted, but I don't see them, at least not by the name that I'm being given. So I'm sorry. We're just going to have to deal with that. But the replay, when you look at the replay, it won't have any of that. It won't have any of that in it. All right. It looks like that person's gone now anyway. All right. So I don't want to take up a whole lot of time. Let's just get into this. I do want to give you a bit of information. There are a couple of people who have joined the Quantum Wellness Portal membership recently. And, well, a lot of people joined it recently. And those of you who've joined it recently, if you joined it because you wanted to be part of the class, you still have to go in and register for the class. Those people who are members of the portal, you get access to all classes for free. So you need to go into 1.0 of the Quantum Wellness Portal and actually register. Make sure you do that. You're not automatically registered for classes just because you're a member. You just have the option to register for all classes for free. So make sure you get in there and do that. If you signed up for the class but not the membership, you're registered. There's nothing else for you to do. You're absolutely registered. There's been a little bit of confusion, and I've gotten a bunch of emails, so I do want to clarify a couple of things dealing with this class. This class has nothing to do with Solex. This class has nothing to do with downlines. This class has nothing to do with teams. I am a naturopathic practitioner and a teacher. And I don't have a team. I mean, I'm on a team, I should say, because I came in to this as a QLA. I am on a team, but signing up for the class does not put you underneath me. It doesn't make you part of my team. I am not building a team. My goal is not to build a team. My goal is to just teach. My goal is to teach and practice. And so this doesn't associate you with me in any sort of way. It also doesn't allow you to cancel your Solex subscription. I got a couple of emails where people were asking whether or not they would have 2 subscriptions. It is a completely different thing. This Quantum Wellness Portal, if you are a member, is an educational portal that has a lot of components to it. One of the components is free access to all teaching and training. And because I am now very interested in the AO Scanner, a lot of the teachings and trainings will have to do with the AO Scanner. All right. So just understand that it is a completely different thing. Many people in the Quantum Wellness Portal have no idea what the AO Scanner is. So if for those of those people who are on this particular live, the AO Scanner is a whole different conversation that we'll have to talk about at another time. But even if you don't have access to the scanner, you can sign up for the course and learn. All right. The way this class will work and the way all of the classes will work is that I need for you to raise your hand. If you have something to ask, raise your hand. And you need to do it by clicking on reactions. So you click on reactions, you click raise hand, I'll see your hand raised, and I'll bring you into the live in order to try to answer your question. I'll be answering questions as we go along. So if you have a question that is not about what I'm talking about right now, please hold that until the very end. Ask your questions then. If I'm talking about something and you want some clarification on something that I'm talking about, then click the reaction button and raise your hand. Now, Terry already has a question. How could that be? How could that be when I haven't even gotten anything yet? But you know what, Terry? I am going to have you unmute and I'm going to bring you in here. Hold on. Let me find you over here. All right, Terry.
I had already
Terry, hold on. I can't hear you, but I think that's my own fault. It is my fault.
I'm sorry. I was going to lower my hand when you said that.
No. I'm joking with you.
I was trying to forward the email from my phone to my laptop so I could open you up on my laptop and see better. But when I forward it to my laptop, it doesn't give me the link to click on.
Yeah,
Is that by design?
No, it's not by design. I don't know what's up with that.
I just did it a second time and it worked.
And it worked?
I'm sorry.
All right. No, yeah. You are all good.
I'm going to hang this up and I'm going to get on my laptop.
All right. All right. It's no problem at all. All right. So raise your hand and I will come to you as we do that. I think that's all of the rules. That's it. When we start with the AO scanning course, the course is going to assume that you know the very basics. So, you know, my prayer is that you know how to add people, you know how to add yourself, you know where the buttons are. I'm not going to be going over the very fundamentals of how to add people and how to add yourself. I'm going to be showing you how I use the scanner in practice. So this isn't to replace Solex University's level 1 course. All right. All right. I have someone saying they can help me with muting. You can't. I know that you think that you can, but I'm not using Zoom. I'm using a completely different program that incorporates Zoom into it in a back door. It's a whole thing that's going on over here. So I don't have the ability to make you the co-host as I would like. I wish that I could, but I got to work all of the controls because my system is a little bit too crazy. All right. Energy, people. Energy. They tell you all the time that everything is energy. They tell you that energy is everywhere. They tell you that energy isn't created. energy isn't destroyed. Let's talk about energy. Frequency and energy. First, let's define it. What is energy? This is Google giving me a basic definition of energy. In physics, energy is defined as the ability to do work, meaning it represents the capacity of an object to exert force and cause displacement, and can exist in various forms like kinetic or motion or potential position, energy, and can be transferred from one object to another without being created and destroyed. That's the basic overused definition of energy. Movement. That's how energy is measured, by movement. So when you move something from one spot to another, however much of what it is that you're calculating made that thing move is the amount of energy that's exerted. And this can be something physical or something non-physical. You have wind, that's a form of energy, and you see wind making things move all the time. Yet you can't see wind. You don't actually even hear wind. What you're hearing is the effect of wind, but it's making things move. And the fact that you can hear the effect and the fact that you can see things move is what lets you know that wind exists, because you can't see it itself. What is frequency? Frequency is the number of waves that pass a given point in 1 second. The frequency unit is called a hertz, named after the German physicist who first confirmed the existence of electromagnetic waves, Heinrich Hertz. He confirmed the existence of electromagnetic waves. But check this out. The electromagnetic waves that he confirmed the existence of was in existence for eons of time. He didn't know it was there. Those before him didn't know it was there. People were able to see that something must be causing things to happen. They did further exploit. They did research, and they were able to determine, oh, there is something. And then they decided to call it frequency, and then it was named after that one guy because he was, quote unquote, the first person to actually discover it. In my day, we used to listen to the radio, right? I'm from Chicago, and in Chicago, when I was growing up, the big station that everybody would listen to was 107.5. It was called WGCI. Everybody knew it, 107.5. 107.5 is a frequency. And when a radio tower emits a frequency, it has to define the frequency that it's emitting. From that station, it was 107.5. So it threw that frequency out, and 107.5 would fill up the radio waves that were in, I believe at that point, it was about a 200-mile area radius of the tower. Now, we weren't moving the radio waves from one spot to another. They were already there. They had no purpose, according to common thought. They had no function, according to common thought. But when the radio tower tuned into 107.5 and sent a signal out, all of the frequency of 107.5 in a 200-mile area picked up that signal and rebroadcast it one to the other. So wherever you were, if you tuned in your radio to 107.5, you heard it. And you didn't hear it any better than the person next door. You didn't hear it any better or worse than the person down the street. The thing that caused you to hear it better or worse had to do with the quality of the antenna that was coming out of the instrument that you were using, whether it was out of your car or whether it was your radio. But the antenna going up in the air is tuned into 107.5, which is a frequency, which you can't see, you can't feel. But two things were tuned into the same frequency: the transmitter and the radio. They're tuned into the same frequency, so they operated on the same wavelength, which means everybody who tuned their radio into that frequency heard the exact same thing, no matter where they were. Very similar to quantum physics and quantum entanglement. You have two things that are connected energetically, and they're experiencing the same thing at the same time. You could have 5,000 people tuned into 107.5. You could have 5 million people tuned into 107.5 because the frequency was everywhere. It had to do with how dialed in you were to it. And if you're dialed into the frequency, everybody has having the exact same experience because everyone is entangled in the frequency that you're focused on. The moment you took your radio and changed the dial even a nuance, you could no longer hear what was happening on 107.5. Why? Because you were no longer tuned into the frequency. So you would hear static until you turned your dial enough to tune into another radio station's frequency. Now, radio stations just happen to get the license to utilize radio waves, which again are everywhere. But when you were tuned in, you were locked in, you were entangled, and everybody listening to the station had the exact same experience. Television. Television waves are different from radio waves, but they're all in the air. They're in the air right now where I am. They're in the air right now where you are. And in your area, corporations are given licenses, and the license say you can broadcast your signal on this frequency. So the radio wave frequency of 107.5, my local ABC station, which was 7, they were not authorized to broadcast their signal on 107.5. They couldn't do it because it would interfere with another station's frequency who had that license. But a television station was able to broadcast on its own frequency, or the frequency that it had the license to. And everybody watching had the same experience. Whatever was on ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, whatever it is that you were watching, if you were tuned in, you were tapped in. And if you were tapped in, you had the same experience. The quality of your experience had to do with the antenna on your television, because we used antennas back then. I'm pretty old. And the quality of the antenna on your television is what allowed you to bring the signal in more clearly. If you did not have a good antenna, you were not able to dial your signal in as well as someone who does have a good antenna. The signal wasn't any less. The signal wasn't distorted. Your ability to tune into the signal was distorted. But when you could tune in, you were entangled. Who were you entangled with? You were entangled with everybody else who was tuned into the same signal. Can't see the signal. You can't really even hear the signal. The frequency is going over waves that are invisible. You're tuned in to those waves, and the device that you have will decode the waves to either give you an audio experience, or in the case of television, an audio or an auditory and a visual experience. Satellite changed the game. Satellite uses a completely different set of waves. As I said before, you can't see it. You can't feel it, but it's everywhere. And satellites are able to throw signals out and about to one another, and then throw signals out into space and broadcast those signals back down to the earth. And for everybody that's tuned in, they're having that same experience. Internet came along, changed the game again. Now, we started combining signals when we started with internet, because we would use phone lines. That is the same thing. We're dealing with energy and frequency that is on top of lines, and you have frequency that's going through it. When we started out, that is how internet was done. And then, now we're in the age of fiber optics. So internet is now going through fiber optics, but it's frequency, it's waves that's going through fiber optics and creating this entire intricate network across the globe and even in the sky, because you have satellite internet and you have mobile internet that utilizes the air in order to transmit data. You don't see any of this data being transmitted, but if you go to the doctors for any length of time, you will see the effect of all of what I'm talking about, because none of it our bodies were designed to deal with. But it's part of our lives now, and it's going nowhere. So let's talk about types of energy, healing specifically. What you're seeing on your screen there is acupuncture. These are needles that are going into acupuncture points that are on the body in the meridian system. When you put needles in a person, what you're doing is there is electricity that's in the air. It's all around us, and this is natural electricity that's in the air. I'm not talking about the leftover from electromagnetic fields. There's electricity that's in the air, and when you drop a needle in an acupressure point or an acupuncture point, the needle is pulling the electricity from the air. It's a conduit of the electricity, and it's pulling that electricity and bringing it right down into the person. And so it's pushing electricity. The needle is a director or a conduit of electricity, and it's directing it where in the meridian system you want it. So you're putting it into very specific places, and the electricity in the air is pulling it in. And that's how the meridian channel is stimulated and manipulated. Massage. When you're giving someone a massage, underneath the skin, it's what's known as fascia tissue. And that fascia tissue carries electrical current throughout the body. And when that electrical current is being carried throughout the body, those are signals that are being sent. Signals or frequency that's being sent from the brain, coming down through the spinal cord, and the massage allows it to go throughout the body. So we're dealing with moving of energy. Just like we're dealing with when we're looking at acupuncture, we're moving energy in the channels, the meridian channels. And when you're massaging, you're moving energy throughout the body. This is an example of Reiki. When you're dealing with Reiki, you're dealing with your personal energy, manipulating the biofield or the energy of someone else. So those people who are masters at Reiki can actually feel the energy or the biofield that, biofield is a word that I use, the biofield that is around us. They can see it and they can manipulate it at the same time. Muscle testing is something that I utilize in my practice, and a lot of practitioners these days do. And this is when we're talking to the body specifically. We're asking questions by either touching points or having the patient or client hold something. And we're looking for subtle changes of energy in the body. Usually, we're utilizing a muscle, we're making it strong, and we're seeing it lock in place. And then we're doing something to see whether or not the energetic flow throughout the body changes. And if it does change, we know one thing. If it doesn't change, we know something else. Now, there are some people who do muscle testing in other ways where they're not necessarily pushing. Some people are just looking, or some people are. Dr. Janine Ridgway, she does a muscle testing technique where she has people hold up their finger. I think that she uses the thumb and the pinky finger, I think. And then she sees whether or not she can move it apart or how much energy it takes to move it apart. And that's how she muscle tests. So there's no one specific way of muscle testing, but muscle testing is a way of finding energetically what's going on in the body. Pendulums. Now, pendulums are another thing that just absolutely freak people out. When you pull out a pendulum, sometimes you can clear a room. Pendulums allow you to look at energy and see whether or not what you are doing changes the swing or the direction based off of your energy or the energy of the person, or the polarity in which your hand or whatever object you're putting something is over. A lot of people look at pendulums and they consider it to be woo-woo or spooky or dark medicine, or pendulum is another way to determine whether or not energy shifts and change in the body. When you're just touching a hand or laying hands on someone or holding their hand or just touching them, you're actually transferring energy. And this is why it's helpful when you're dealing with somebody who's sick, somebody on their deathbed, somebody who is sad, to just grab their hand or to touch them physically in order to transfer energy over. Now, there's an energy healing technique or several energy healing techniques where you physically touch on people, but these movements of energy from one person to another is being used throughout time for energy healing and to just make people feel better all the way around. When you see couples walking down the street, you are dealing with synced energies. Couples that hold hands, their energy is being synced while they're doing that, and they usually will create their own new orbit and their own energy. Breastfeeding is one of the most amazing energy exchanges that you could possibly do, because not only are you physically touching your child, touching to the mother, but the mother has in her breasts milk that was designed for the makeup of that particular child or children if she's had more than one child. And you're transferring energy and you're transferring frequency, and you are doing this on a whole new level in a way that will allow energy exchange to be unmatched by anything else. And you're also transferring information from the mother to the child on how to deal with various illnesses and germs and bacteria and all of those things. Here we are with prayer. You know, whenever something is happening, people pray for other people. Sometimes they pray in mass, meaning we get together and we are going to be praying for long periods of time with a lot of people. I just want to be real. I mean, I'm asking this sarcastically. I hope the answer is no. But when you get 20 or 30 people together and you're praying, maybe more, sometimes hundreds or thousands, I imagine you don't think that your numbers are persuading God to change his mind. I imagine that's not what's going on in your brain, right? And you certainly don't think you're bullying God, right? So then how does asking more people to pray benefit? Well, from my perspective, you're creating more energy around something. And you're praying and you're tapping into energy and maybe asking, maybe you have more people asking for permission to utilize this energy. But getting more people together is not a bullying tactic. It's not a persuasive tactic, but you're aiming much more energy squarely at a person, and you're aiming much more energy squarely at a problem. If you think anything else, I'd like to have a side conversation with you because I really want to know how the mind works. I just got questions. Meditation. Meditation taps right into the energy field that's around us all. Homeopathy. A lot of you, I got any homeopathy pellets? I do not, but there's some on the screen there. When you're dealing with homeopathy, you're actually taking the frequency of something that very often is powerful and toxic, and you're just pulling the frequency out of it and putting that frequency into someone so they can get all of the benefits without any of the toxicity. And that's the reason why homeopathy is so powerful. It's so popular. all over the world because it is frequency. It's the same frequency that we're talking about that's in the air, but it's been bottled up and put into a little sugar pellet. So it can be manipulated and sent all over the place, and the energy stays until you're ready to tap into it. There's a little device that I use here. I have it actually sitting right behind me here. This is an energy healer. I can dial in the frequency of anything that deals with homeopathy. And I can transfer that frequency either via scalar waves to a human being, or I can transfer that energy into water or a tincture bottle or sugar pellets or tablets or patches or anything that I want to transfer energy or frequency from one to the other. And I can also copy energy or frequency that's already in a pellet and move it over. So now we have gone from things that are just in the air that can be manipulated to devices that human beings have made to work with things that are in the air that can be manipulated. We're bringing it on down now to modern times. This is called an IC Glow Pad. Now, if you've been a member of the Quantum Wellness Portal for any length of time, you know we have a section that is full of infoceuticals, which are digital frequencies of substances, homeopathy, body systems, and things. And when we infuse that into water, we're able to then drink that water and conquer certain things that are going on around us, and sometimes make those other things a little bit easier. So let's look into biofeedback, which is what the AO scanner is, a biofeedback device. What is biofeedback? Biofeedback is asking the body an energetic question and then discerning the answer that the body gives. Very similar to muscle testing. Muscle testing is a biofeedback mechanism as well as an energy healing mechanism. Here's some biofeedback devices. This one, I don't know what the name of this one is, but it takes pulses from your finger. It measures those pulses, gives you a result, and allows you to discern something. What? I don't know. It's called Zyto. I use this in my practice. You put your hand on it, and frequencies are emitted from the Zyto device through your skin to your body. It's asking questions. And so you would have the frequency of the liver, the frequency of the heart, the frequency of different body systems, blood. And it's measuring how strong your body reacted to it. And when your body has an out of balance reaction, it comes up in a report for us to look at a little bit deeper. It's called Accugraph. I use this in my practice too. I fashion myself as a meridian therapist, and there are source points around your body. There are 6 source points around each wrist and 6 source points on various spots on each foot. So I have my clients and I touch that little device on the source points on their hands and their feet, and it lets me see the exact electrical measurement of each meridian, so I can then determine which meridian is out of sync with the body and which meridians are out of sync with one another. That will allow me to see physically where the meridians are out of balance. And here we are. This is what we've all been waiting for, the AO scanning system. Now, the AO scanning system is a little different from all of the other ones that are mentioned before, because the AO scanning system, it doesn't need to touch you in order to measure you. The AO scanning system is utilizing what's known as quantum entanglement, or utilizing quantum physics to ask your body questions and to measure responses from your body. I took the long way to get here because what I needed to establish was that there are so many different styles of manipulating energy. There are so many different ways to measure energy and frequency. And there are so many different things that you can use frequency for And there are so many things that you already understand about energy. There are so many things you already understand about frequency. And I wanted to lay that foundation to let you understand that when you're dealing with the AO scanner, you're not dealing with something that is entirely different from all of those things. One of the biggest things that people have as a problem is, how does this work? Because I don't see anything. I don't feel anything. You didn't attach anything to me. The radio is not attached to the cell or to the tower that send out the radio signal. Your television is not attached to the tower that's sending out the phone signal. Your satellite is not attached to the satellite in space that's sending down the signal, and you don't see any of these things happening. But they are riding the waves of things that you can't see in order to give you an experience that you can have, meaning you can feel it, you can see it, you can hear it. And the AO scanner is the same way. The AO scanner utilizes quantum fields and quantum entanglement in order to get energy and to measure energy through it. The AO scanning system is riding the waves of quantum in order to reach you and to determine whether or not what you're dealing with is out of balance, whether that be in your vitals, whether that be in your comprehensive or body systems. It's utilizing the quantum waves in order to measure. Once you have a profile and you're established in the system, and again, I know that this is a really, really difficult concept for people to have, but once you are measured in the system, that is able to get to you. I'm only stopping because for whatever reason, I am now actually able to hear. I'm able to hear someone is not muted. So I am going to ask again, everybody who is in our room, please mute yourself. It would be great. All right. So here is an example of an inner voice scan with vitals. You have been touched. You have been examined. In this case, we got a sample of your voice. So we have a sample of your voice, which has the frequency of you. Usually we have your image, which has the frequency of you. This is creating a profile. And from those things, we're able to scan your energy field, or the system is able to scan your energy field, and able to give you some idea of what your emotional imbalances are, and then compare them with your vitals and body imbalances to show you where your emotions are affecting your vitals or how your vitals are affecting your emotions. When we get into the class, I'm going to teach deeper on this, and I'm going to show you how you can know whether or not you're getting better. Because these are all placeholders. When you look at emotions, you see 4 things there. When you look at vitals, you see 4 things there. Potential causes and imbalances, you're going to see 4 things there. And you're going, or 3 things, excuse me, you're going to see 3 things in each category. And those things are always going to be there. Always, meaning you're always going to have something there. And if you obsess over what's there, you're going to say, well, I'm not getting any better. Well, no. There is a way to tell whether or not you're getting better. And I'm going to go over that when we get into class. Here's an example of vitals. We're looking at things that are showing the blood and the vitals that are inside there, and we're looking at the frequency imbalances. So when we get into the class, I want to show you how I use the vitals system, how I read and analyze the reports, how I determine what's important to look at and what's important to focus on, and when you should just move it right along. Because I'll be honest with you, sometimes looking at these reports can drive you a little bit batty. especially if you're focusing on one little thing and you start to work on that. And then the moment that you start to work on it, before you actually really work on it, it's gone. That's because the information can't be obsessed on unless you look at it for what it is, which are points of frequency that are not balanced temporarily. But you're always going to have things that are not resonating perfectly. If you had something that was hooked up to your car 24 hours a day, and you would find out as you went around a curve at 50 miles an hour, you might find out that your shocks didn't handle that perfectly. And when that happens, if you were to get a signal every single time, it might drive you crazy, thinking that, oh my God, I need new tires, I need new shocks. The reality is you were putting a little bit more strain and stress on it than it was made to bear. But the moment you figured it out and got around the curve, everything was normal again. Now you're putting enough stress and strain on your shocks for them to do what they were designed to do. But if you focused on them while you were going around that curve, you might go buy new shocks, and they're not necessary. That same thing exactly happens when you're dealing with your vitals report. People are freaking out. Reality is, most of the time, it means absolutely nothing, because there's always going to be a time when things aren't balanced. Always. How do you know what to do? Well, when we get to week 2, we'll start talking about that. Comprehensive. So for those of you who are tuned in, who are members of our Quantum Wellness Portal, or just guests who are not in the AO scanning world, this is a comprehensive scan. And this particular one shows arteries on the right arm, and it shows specific arteries that are balanced and ones that are not balanced. And there's a numerical code to know when you've got double reds. Those are the things that you want to focus on sometimes. And I'm going to, when we get into the comprehensive, which is, I think, week 3, I'll let you know how I run comprehensive, how I use comprehensive, and how I read those reports. This is part of the body systems report. This is the connective tissue one. Connective tissue I look at a lot because connective tissue holds so much energy and so much stress. And very often when you're in pain, connective tissue is the reason. But look at this. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things in each column. The body systems report is a report that will have you jumping and leaping off buildings if you really focus in on that too hard. So when we get to the body systems report, I'm going to show you how I look at the body systems report, how I measure it, and how I determine what to focus on and when to focus on it. From my perspective, the body systems is something that should be run often but not looked at ever until you've identified a problem. From my perspective, the body system reports are useless until you've already identified that there is a problem in a system. Why is that? Because there's always going to be 5 things in each category. So if you look at your body systems report, you're going to say, okay, chronic, right lateral meniscus, acute, left superior transverse ligament. Chronic, you're going to go all the way down the line from the vitals to the body to the causes, when maybe connective tissue isn't even an issue, but something had to be in those places. Anytime you have placeholders where something has got to be in every spot, you can't look at it as though it's a problem. So again, the body systems report is useless. The body system scan and optimization is not useless, but the report is useless until you know how to use it, from my perspective. Here's more of the body systems where they give you tips on things that you can do to improve that particular area. Another part of the body systems gives you hormones, very similar to a hormone panel, and it allows you to look at what is showing out of balance. Again, you have to look at this in a different way. You have to look for trends. Very brand new to the AO scanner is chemistry, blood chemistry. When I announced this course, we didn't even have blood chemistry when I started building this course. And now we do. So that's another week that's going to be added on to this particular course. I have the course listed for 14 weeks, but I don't really know how long it's going to go because we're just going to be tackling something different every week. And who knows, they might introduce whole new modules within the next month or so. And if they do, we're going to have to tap on another week for everyone that they enter because we got to continuously update. And just so you know, this is a living course, which means as the AO Scanner evolves, we'll hold a class to go over whatever the new thing is, and then that will be added to the course, and you'll just have that as the course. The course will grow as the modules grow. So we have Cephis. There are two different ways to utilize Cephis. You can imprint right into water, sugar pellets, tincture bottles, or you can broadcast that out. You can broadcast it to the biofield that we were talking about earlier. Again, you have an established profile. From a quantum standpoint, it's able to entangle with you. And when you broadcast to the field around you, the information is taken to the body below it. So this quantum field is around us all, this field of energy. And this energy interacts with everything that we come into contact with that is alive. It interacts with each person that we encounter. Every time you meet somebody, a communication is happening. When you meet somebody, you kind of determine, oh, I like this person. Oh, I don't like this person. The two energies interacted. This conversation happened. You ever seen dogs at a park? Dogs are primitive, they say, compared to us. In some ways, I think they're superior to us, but let's go with the primitive part. Dogs in a park, they run up to each other. Within a second of seeing one another, sometimes they're fighting or other times they're licking one another. Within seconds. You know, as human beings, we come with an agenda and we're looking at people and we are lying our way through things and we're trying to find out whether or not our level of deceit is going to be seen by that person. And now we see that the person sees us for who we are. So now the fake smile that we put on, we take off because there's no need to be smiling anymore because this person figured out that I'm a jerk or I figured out that this person's a jerk. That sometimes takes a couple of minutes in order to actually quantify on an intellectual level. Well, the energy fields knew immediately because it doesn't take that long. This is where the conscious brain comes in. That's what the conscious brain has to think its way through. When you're dealing with animals, they don't even play that game. They just immediately know whether or not they like one another or hate one another. They immediately know they're not congruent with one another and they just start fighting or they start playing. And it happens immediately. And they remember that energy when they see it again. That is the biofield that each of us carry. And that is the energy that we can tap into on a quantum level, just like radio waves can tap into our radios, just like television waves can tap into our televisions, just like satellite waves can tap into our internet or satellite radios or satellites, dishes that send signal to our television. The goal of scanning and optimizing yourself is good health. The goal is to constantly balance your biofield so that you can have good health. So tomorrow we start with our AO scanning course. I wanted to start talking about energy because I wanted you to understand that everything is energy. And I wanted to lay the foundation so that when we start our course, we can just dive right into it. Remember, if you're registered or if you've recently subscribed to the Quantum Wellness Portal, because some of you subscribed to the course alone, you're good. You don't have to do anything else. But many of you decided to take us up on a subscription to the Quantum Wellness Portal. For those of you who did that, you are able to subscribe to the course at no charge in your membership, but you still have to do it. It's in section 1.0. So here's the course. It's a live interaction series of classes that will be about 14 weeks. And it's every Monday night starting tomorrow night. Starting tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I'm going to come back. I am looking at our chat. It looks like someone named Sharon Hall is not muted. So Sharon, if you hear this, please go ahead and mute yourself. And I see a bunch of questions. I'll be coming to your questions in just a minute. 14-week interactive course. Starting tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we're going to start with inner voice. That is my favorite modality or module in the AO Scanner. It's the reason that I signed up for it, because I was so impressed by that. This is the kickoff of it, but tomorrow we start with inner voice. Part 1, we're going to go, this is roughly how we're going to do it. Understanding energy medicine, that's where we're in right now today. Then we're going to go to inner voice. Then we're going to go to the vitals. Then we're going to the comprehensive. Then we're going to go quick scan part 1 using the easy scan and using the easy scan, because part 2 of the quick scan is muscle testing. It's a way of biofeedback. Then we're going to go to Cephes, understanding body systems, mind sync, and I may move that around because I have gotten word, let me say this, I've gotten word that Dr. Janine Ridgway is going to join me on a couple of these. And so we're going to not just know how I'm doing it, but she's also going to let us know how she does it. Because there's no one way to use the AO Scanner. I don't want anybody to think that there is a very specific way to use it. No. You use it in a way that's congruent to you. And so anything that I teach you, I don't want you to think that I am saying this is how it's supposed to be done. I'm showing you how I do it in a way that resonates with me. And if it resonates with you, great. Part 2 is going to be putting all the pieces together. So we're going to do 3 weeks of case studies with question and answer, where I'm going to have you send me your links to your vitals, your easy scans, your comprehensive, your body systems scans, and we're going to bring you in as a test person or a case study, and I'm going to show you what I do, and in some cases, I'll show you what I would do in practice, how I would analyze this, because I need things to match. So I'm going to need somebody people who are willing to submit their own and know that their names are going to be on there, because I'm not blocking out. I don't have the ability to go through. Well, I do have the ability, but it takes too much to go through, and then you have to screenshot everything. No, I want to be able to scroll through and click from report to report the same way that I do. And tomorrow, we're going to actually start that tomorrow, because tomorrow night, I'll be talking about inner voice, and then I'll be bringing someone on, and I'll be explaining to you or showing you a live demo on how I explain inner voice to my clients while they're sitting in front of me or virtually in front of me, how I run the report, and then we're going to analyze a report on someone right there. And you'll see all of that happen tomorrow. So we're going to do 3 weeks of putting it all together when we're done. Whenever we're done with all the modules, then we're just going to do 3 weeks of case studies. Someone had asked me earlier, how long are the classes going to be? I don't know for sure. My goal is to get out of there in 90 minutes. But if you know me, that's damn near impossible. But I'm going to try, because there's always going to be question and answer. I like to explain things very thoroughly, and I like to answer questions. I don't like people leaving without their questions being answered. And I like to answer questions, and so that could take longer than that. But I promise you, everything is recorded. So if you have to leave early, just know it will be there for you within usually that night. It gets there the next day at the very latest. All right. So the AO Scanner Simplified, I think that most of the people who are here have already either signed up or registered. I don't know that there's anybody here who hasn't, but if there are and they're interested, this does not include a subscription to the AO Scanner. So this is for people who already have their own AO scanning subscription. This AO Scanner Simplified course, it will be $350 when we're done. Right now, it's $195. But the class is included with those for those of you who are members to the AO scan, or excuse me, not the AO scanner. Those of you who are members of the Quantum Wellness Portal, the membership is, or the access to this class is with that. Wait, was there a URL? Yeah, you can go to drdarylwellness.com, or you can use that QR code to sign up. Now, if you have any interest in the membership, I've gone over this a bunch of times, so I'm just going to do it really, really quickly, and then I'm going to go to your questions. The membership, because some people signed up for the class and they don't even know that, or excuse me, some people signed up for the membership just because they in their minds was a bit cheaper. I urge you to really look into the membership and see what all is there. We have thousands of recipes in one section for all of the various dietary types and meal plans and shopping lists there. And I've seen many of you are now utilizing that. Thank you. I can see when you pull reports and send meal plans to yourself and send recipes to yourself. I can see when you do that. So more people are getting in there. And I really want people to understand that is a gold mine. That is worth the price of the membership alone. We have imprintable frequencies, different frequencies that are in the AO scanner. You must have an IC glow pad to imprint those, but you can also utilize the sound portion of it. We have meditations, affirmations, sound therapy, creative visualizations for all different types of emotional imbalances. And that list of what's there is growing every single month. For those of you who have red light devices or wands, terahertz wands, the big question is, what do I do with this thing? Well, if you have wands, we have a bunch of charts for all of the different various ailments. And you pull up the chart and it shows you what areas or what acupuncture points on the body you can aim the wand at in order to stimulate them, in order to bring about balance for that particular thing. We have an entire auricular therapy section where there are charts on the ear, because the ear has points on it that when you stimulate them with either ear seeds or lasers or pressure, you can bring about a balance for various things. So there's a bunch of charts in there for both. That's its own section in the portal. Every class that we do is included, no matter how expensive that class is. Every course that we release will be included with the membership. You never pay for any of the training classes. And we do 2 classes a month called What Would Dr. Daryl Do? Those are classes where I just open up the floor to you to just ask me questions about your situation, about your family, about whoever. And if I have anything to give you, I will. If I don't know the answer, I won't tell you that I know the answer, but I'll tell you what I would do in those situations. It's not giving you medical advice. It's just telling you what I do in the situation. All right. So this Solex interactive course starts today, technically, because this is the kickoff of it, even if you're not registered, you're able to get into the energy class. But tomorrow, only those people who are registered for the AO scanning class will be getting the links to that. All right. The Ask Dr. Daryl sessions twice monthly. You can ask about your scans, your various conditions, ask about natural health. All of it is included in the membership. We have a special price right now. I also am going to say tomorrow is the day that the membership will be closed. After today is the last full day of the membership. Tomorrow, when the class starts at 7 p.m. Eastern, the membership closes for at least a month. It will reopen either mid or in the end of November, because I've had so many people that have joined the membership. I want to make sure I can support everybody properly. And I don't want to have so many people coming in that I can't support everybody. And I've had a lot of people join in the last day or two. But everybody gets an onboarding call with me where we go over how to use the portal. And all of that takes time to schedule. So I don't want to stretch the resources so thin that the people who are in the membership don't get supported because new people are coming in. So I'm going to control the flow now that we're filling up. All right. So the membership closes tomorrow. You'll still be able to buy classes if you want, but you won't be able to join the membership until it reopens. We'll have a waiting list for that. It closes the moment the class starts tomorrow. All right. So there's a special price right now. Normally it's $97 per month. Right now at that link, everybody who joins monthly, it's only $57 per month. It's regularly $245 if you want a quarterly membership. Right now, it's $150 per quarter. It is regularly $850 if you want to prepay for a whole year. Right now, it's $540 for that. It says offer ends October 6th. Technically, I'll say that today's the last day. So it'll technically close when the class starts. You can go to drdarylwellness.com/Solex or use the QR code that is right there in order to get that. drdarylwellness.com/Solex or use that QR code for those prices. If you just go to the website, all you're going to see are the regular prices. All right. So I want you to do the reaction and raise your hand if you want to ask questions about energy. If you want to ask questions about any of the things that I have been mentioning, I would appreciate it if you could turn your camera on when you do that. And I am going to go to questions that were, before I do that, that were asked, typed out. All right, hang on. Let me scroll through this because there are a few people who have their mics open and everybody inside of the chat was yelling at them. All right. So Dr. Janine said, clear a room with the pendulum back there. You will clear a room with pendulums. That's no doubt about that. People will dive out of the room. All right. I must remember to take it everywhere with me. I'm going to assume you were talking about the pendulum. Anastasia says, hi, Dr. Daryl. How do you know what type of healing goes with a particular ailment? Well,
Hi, Doctor.
how do you know? There is one way to do that is to run a scan to see from a frequency standpoint what is showing up out of balance. Another way to do that is there's a whole different scan that I can run that will show me what frequencies are congruent with your system. So once I have you inside of the system, I can run a completely different scan from the AO Scanner perspective in order to say what frequencies resonate with Anastasia. What frequencies will balance out what's going on in her body. If you were in front of me, I could muscle test you and push down and have you hold things, but the scanner makes that obsolete. We can just do a scan and see. Because sometimes things don't even make sense. You know, you might feel like I've got a cold and sulfur is coming up as a frequency. Well, it's because we don't understand every aspect of the body and we don't know why one thing balances the other thing out. You could theoretically have a cold because you have some skin issues that disallows your skin to breathe, which stops the flow from your breath from moving through, so it can't clear the skin. And if you have sulfur, which on a frequency standpoint is great for skin issues, once the skin is clear, then breathing can be non-obstructed anymore because the air is now able to flow through. You know, there are different things like that that we don't necessarily even know how or why, but with the scanning system, we can just find out what frequencies best resonate with you. All right. Do you find the results from the different tools, programs that you use line up? For example, the Accugraph. Do these results line up with the Meridian scan from the AO Scanner? That is a very good question, and the answer is no, they do not line up. Now, does that mean it's not working? Absolutely not. The Accugraph scan allows me to see physically where the meridians are out of balance, electrically, where the imbalances are. The Meridian or the AO Scanner is allowing me to see where the frequencies are off. You know, and the frequency sometime will be different. When you can repair the frequency, the manifestation doesn't have to happen. So when I'm using the Accugraph scan, I am finding in real time where the meridians are physically off, where the Accugraph scan is letting me know where the frequency is off, which could be also manifested in the physical, but it also could be the potential of what's going to be manifested in the physical. And so from the AO scanning perspective, when I balance the frequencies in the potential or the frequency standpoint, I may never get to the potential because I grabbed it before the energy turned physical. All right. Hope that makes sense. I'm looking forward to this. Thank you for preparing. Oh, you are very welcome. You are very welcome. All right, let me see. Signed up for the membership and I logged in today, and I'm beyond excited for how much info is in the portal. Great, Lauren. The thing that's what I've been building this portal for about 2 years. And so what you're looking at is about 2 years worth of my work. The AO scan stuff is brand new. I've just gotten started. So as much stuff as you see there, we're expanding that, but we're going to make a whole section that's going to be nothing but AO scan. Are we allowed to print the charts and download the sound therapies? No, they're not downloadable. They're not downloadable. That's kind of the purpose of the membership. And that's the reason why I have redone the charts so that you can zoom in. But it's a login system. You use them while you're logged in. Can you display the slide that displays the activities to try for the systems? I missed the list, please. I'm sorry, Tesha. I don't know what you're speaking about. If you could raise your hand, I'm going to be coming to people in a few minutes and you can tell me what you're talking about and I will try to get that for you. I'm not clear on the difference between energy and frequency. Please teach on that again. Kalila. Kalila is one of my favorite names, by the way. The difference between energy and frequency. Energy is the actual motion that moves frequency. Energy is the force that moves the frequency around. So when you have wind that's blowing, you have air that's in the particles of air, and you have a force or energy field that's blowing that air around. And when that happens, you feel it as it hits you. You hear the reaction or you see something moving around. So you're dealing with the frequency of air and you're dealing with the energy of wind. When you are dealing, so that's in essence, those two differences. And when you're dealing with it in what we're looking at, if you were to do muscle testing, the energy is the movement of the arm. The frequency is either pressing a point or holding a vial. So that's a rough answer. Do I offer very beginner classes? Well, sort of. I do, Anastasia. I do those free all the time, every week. I'm going to get back to my weekly lives, and those are free, very beginner classes. So, and all of my lives are posted. All right. Oh, here's a great one, and I promise I'm coming to the other ones now. Will you do a class on pendulums? Yes. Yes, I'm going to do a whole class on pendulums. Absolutely. I'm going to do that. All right. I'm going to come up here to the people who want to come in, and I'm going to people who have raised their hands. So there were a bunch of people who had their hands raised. I guess I talked too long that now they have decided that they don't want to get in here, but you can go ahead and raise your hand again. But let's start out with Tesha. Are you there?
Hi, good evening. Sorry for not being clear in my question.
Sure.
It's about on the slideshow presentation that you just gave. One of the slides gives a list of activities to try, I think, to improve your systems.
Mm-hmm.
And you glossed over it really quickly, and I was trying to write it, and I should have took a screenshot, and I didn't. So on that particular slide, it referenced yoga, daily cardio, and something else. So I just wanted to see that slide again if I could,
Well,
so I could grab a screenshot.
You cannot, but let me tell you why you can't. Because that has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with that person who got scanned. That's how specific this is. And so that's the reason why you couldn't screenshot, because the energy field around you knew that you didn't need it. So when no, I'm not joking. When you do your scan and you look at your connective tissue, because that was the body system scan and connective tissue, it's going to give you the suggestions on how to balance out your connective tissue. And that's going to be totally different than what you saw on that chart.
Okay. Thank you.
So on that chart, it's not like, oh, this is how you balance out connective tissue. No. That's generic answers. What the AO scanner will show you is how to balance out your connective tissue or your circulatory system or digestive system or whatever it is. You get what I'm saying?
Okay. Yes. I guess so. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you
thank you.
do you do the body systems scans?
I don't. I was invited to this call, so I figured I'd jump on and
Oh,
hear
so
the presentation. And so
you don't actually have the scanner.
I don't have one, but one of my uplines does. So I will get with her to get more information and understand
Got it. Yeah. So
the
then
scan that be specific for me, I guess.
yep.
So
So then
yeah.
it doesn't make sense. Well, let me tell you what to tell her.
Okay.
Say I need a body systems scan.
Okay.
I need a body system scans, and then after you do my body system scan, send it to me, and you're gonna get a whole lot of information. Now, I
I
need you
see.
to not freak out over what you're gonna see because there's a lot of frequency things that are on there that can throw you into a titsy. Don't look at that while you're crossing a street or you'll get hit by a car. Don't look at it, don't glance at it while you're driving or you'll drive off the road because it's
Oh my.
frequency and it will show you things that might appear wild and crazy. But again, everything on there that it shows you is going to be specific to your frequency. And again, that was specific to the frequency of the person that was scanned, not
So
general.
so the idea of these frequencies and doing a scan, it will change. Today it could be one result versus a month from now, depending on what the changes you implement, it'll be different and so
Mhm.
on going forward
Absolutely.
to improve your health, overall health,
Absolutely.
correct?
It all
Okay,
changes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I am going to go to Terry now. Hold on a second. Where are we at? There we go. All right. Are you there, Terry?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. This is a great class. I love it.
Thank you.
When you do the body system, when you do the AO scanner, do you personally do a scan of all of the body systems, or do you pick specific ones based on the person's complaint?
I do it very differently than most people. The only time I ever do a specific, well, no, there are two situations where I'll do specific body systems. If I'm trying to find out about hormones, if I'm trying to find out about body chemistry now that that's there, or if I already know if a person is coming to me and their digestive system is shot to hell and I know it, then I might run a digestive system body scan. In general, what I do is that I do a body system scan every week on all my clients and optimize it, and I just don't even look at it. I just store it. And then when I know that that person needs something, then I go back and look at the body system scan because now I know which system matters. Because again, you're going to have 4 things in each category. So because you have to have 4 things in each category, that means even the systems that are not out of balance is still going to look like there's a problem there. So you can't look at all those systems, but you can balance all those systems. And so I balance them and I look back at them periodically when I want to investigate them. That's how I look at the body systems report as something for investigative purposes.
So you go back and look at the trends of that person.
Not necessarily. No.
No?
If I know that if I've been scanning someone for a while and they're having some digestive issues, then I go back and I specifically start looking at their digestive systems portion of the body system. I ignore everything else. If I know that that person's having some circulatory systems, I go back and then I say, oh, well, the circulatory system needs balancing. So let me see what is wrong there that I can use to balance. I'm not necessarily looking at trends. I'm keeping it as a record in case I ever need to go back. But I'm balancing it regardless. Every time you scan, you're still balancing out the entire body.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Let me go here to Faye. Faye, can you unmute?
Oops.
Are you there? Oh, no. Faye, are
Yeah,
you there?
I'm
Oh,
here.
there you go. Hey,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm awesome. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Okay, great presentation. Very
Thank you.
informative.
Thank you.
The question I have is a point of clarification, actually. You talked about the monthly subscription, and then you talked about signing up for a class. Signing
Yes.
up, for instance, like Monday's class,
Yeah.
or the one that basically started today, but you're
Yes.
jumping
Yes, ma'am.
tomorrow. Could you clarify that again? So if I'm a monthly subscriber, what happens?
If you are a monthly subscriber, you have the ability to sign up for all classes at no charge,
I see. Okay.
including the AO Scanner class.
The one for tomorrow would start it today.
Yes.
Okay.
But there are some
Very
people, they don't want or need access long term to what's in the portal. So they
Yes.
just buy the class.
I see. Well, based on what you said, the recipes, other podcasts, it sounds like a great platform
Oh,
for
I completely
information.
agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what tipped the scale for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot more in there. Some people just decided, oh no, I only want this class and I don't need this long term because this course is going to go on for months. So this is going to be going on for quite some time. So you have the monthly subscription, the quarterly subscription, the yearly subscription, depending on what your comfort level is or how long you want to commit to this. And as long as you're a member, you have access to this course, the past courses that I have done, the new courses that I'll do, the lives that I do every month, the 2 lives that I do every month, the other courses that will be dropping. You get access to all of that. You don't pay. But if you know that you don't want access to any of that stuff, then you can just buy the class, and then you still get the entire class no matter how long it runs.
That's pretty high integrity. Thanks for giving all that flexibility.
You're welcome. You are
Yeah,
welcome.
okay, that's it.
All right,
That's
I'm
all
glad
I
I was able to answer that for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, hold on. Let's go here. We're going to go to Dr. Brown. Can you please unmute yourself?
There we go.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Hey.
Thank you so much. All right. Appreciate it.
How are you,
just
ma'am?
have a quick question for clarity. When this scan, it scans and optimize. What does that mean? And when you talk about balancing, how does that piece fit in? And if you have someone that you've done a scan on, and you talk about scanning and optimizing all your clients every week, do they have to come in for you to do that? Or how does that work?
Scanning and optimizing is balancing. So if you were to run a scan on someone, meaning say you're my client and you're inside of my system or, someone's system, are you working with somebody currently on the AO scanner? Okay. So, did I mute you? I am so sorry. I did not mean to do that. Hold on. No, you hold on. Let me find you. I don't know how that happened. All right. Could you unmute again, please?
There we go.
Okay. I apologize
yes,
for
I
that.
do. Yeah, yes,
Okay,
I have
okay.
a few people.
So someone has you as in there as their profile, or you in their scanner with a profile. They're able to scan your biofield via quantum entanglement, meaning it's able to connect with the energy field that's around you to determine out of thousands of frequencies what is not resonating perfectly. And I mean thousands of frequencies, from food sensitivities to blood chemistry to bones to body systems to all of your organs. And what it does is it gives I'm just going to make up some numbers here just to everything in your body has a frequency, right? I don't know what the frequency of the heart is, but let's say it's 67.429, right? And your heart, when your biofield was contacted, your heart was resonating at 6.426. Again, I'm making up numbers because I don't know what they are. It will send 6.429 to your body to see whether or not your heart now is resonating at that frequency. That's just called balancing, meaning giving your heart or your body all of your energy, the energy that it needs in order to run smoothly and perfectly. That's giving it a balance. But sometimes even after doing that, certain things are not resonating at the frequency that they're designed to. And that's when they show up on the scan. It looks like the heart is not operating optimally right now or today. Now, again, when you're driving down the highway and you're going down a steep curve and you're going very, very strong, if someone were to measure the intensity of your wheels or your tires, your shocks, or your struts at that moment, they would say, without out of context, that the car is doing something that it shouldn't be doing, like going 75 miles an hour down a hill and around a curve. It would say that area is stressed out. Those shocks are stressed out. Those tires are stressed out. Without context, you don't know why they're stressed out. Once you get down that hill and you're driving normal, those tires won't be stressed out. Those shocks won't be stressed out. So if every single time you looked at the tires, they were stressed out, or the shocks that were stressed out, or the wheels were stressed out, now that lets you know there's something in your suspension that we might need to look at, because no matter what the condition of the road is, your car still isn't driving optimally. That's how we're looking at the body. No matter what the condition, if your heart or your brain or your liver, under all of these circumstances, day by day, won't resonate properly, no matter what life conditions you are experiencing, now we know that we might have something deeper than a frequency issue. We might have something more different than a time of day issue. We might need to look and see whether or not your heart needs nutrition, your brain needs support nutritionally, or other frequencies, or we might even ask you to just take a visit to the doctor just to see whether or not something isn't resonating properly. So that's what a balance is. I balance my clients every day that I work with in order to give their body the frequencies that are necessary to get through that day, in order to give their body what it needs in order to get through life. And when I see a pattern that no matter how many times I do this, certain body systems will not resonate properly, I need to know why. Sometimes I already know why, because that's what they came to me for. I have 2 clients right now that have cancer, and the area of their body that has cancer always shows up that it could not resonate back into balance. It always shows up every day. Practically, that particular area of their body is showing that there's issues, because I'm sending frequencies to the body and I'm balancing out a lot of things, but certain areas are not balancing. I already know why in that person or those people, because they have cancer and they have it in those areas. And when I start seeing it not showing up as much, that's my clue that their body energetically is balancing out, which will end up manifesting in the physical, because the frequency always goes out of balance before the physical goes out of balance. When the physical is out of balance, the frequency's been out of balance for a long time. I'm sorry that I gave a long answer to your question, but that's kind of how, that's the reason why I say these classes ain't going to be 90 minutes, because
okay, so all you need to do that on a daily basis for your clients is to have a profile in your AO scanner.
yes,
Then they don't have to come in every day, or they don't have to touch anything, or
No.
do an inner voice or anything. You just need to have their profile, which is their name, their birth date, their weight, and anything else.
a picture of them, just the basic stuff that you need to make a profile. Okay. I do still do an inner voice on them though, even when they're not here. They go inside of the portal and they send a voice clip and I run that. But that gets into something different, because I use the inner voice more as a medicine, because it sends them audible frequencies that they can listen to and help to balance out as well.
Okay, sounds
All right.
great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, you are so welcome. All right, let me do this and all right. So anybody else who has any questions, go ahead and click reactions and raise your hand. I'm going to look through the chat here to see whether or not there's any in the chat, and then I'm going to let you all go. So right now we're 90 minutes in, and this is really, really cool. Looks like there are a couple of things inside of here. How do you figure out if the pain is a person's body or their emotional trauma or needs medical attention? That's not a question I'm going to really be able to answer right now. That's all part of putting the pieces together. So that's a much deeper part of the actual class that I'm going to be teaching. How do you store the body systems scan? I have a way, I just send them to my email, and I have an email system. Actually, I use a Gmail system where I make subfolders in the Gmail systems. And I'm a tech guy. I was in IT for years prior to coming into this. So technology is my thing. And I just have them automatically sent to my email account. And then I have them sub-stored into subfolders that are inside of my Gmail, so that when I go to the client's name, all of their body system scans and vitals and all of that stuff is showing right there. All right. Kathy says the portal is awesome. Thank you. I've been working on it for years. I appreciate it. It's incredible. I hope you're talking about that. Please post the info for portal and sign up info again. Absolutely. That is this one. This is a special pricing. If you just go to the main website, you're gonna get the regular pricing. This is for people who are on here, drdarylwellness.com/Solex, or you can click that QR code. It should have been in the description. I'm sorry if I didn't put it in there, but drdarylwellness.com/Solex, or you can use that QR code. All right. When Bluetoothing the device, will it affect the scan? It will not affect the scan. Kalila, I purchased the membership. However, how and where do I go into 1.0 to register? It's a good question. Hold on. Now I gotta log into the portal to show you, because that can be a real problem for people. Let me pull it up here. And I see that we have Terry with a question. I'll be right over there to answer that for you, Terry. All right. So, this is not showing you what I need you to see. Hold on. Let me fix that. Sorry for working this out live on air, everybody. When you are in the portal, you are going to go on the left side. It says programs. It won't show me that right now because I can't open this screen wide enough. There it is. You're going to click on programs. When you go to programs, that's where your active programs are going to be. I have more programs in here than you all have access to because I got access to everything. But right here, it says 1.0 Quantum Wellness Portal Hub. Start here. You click there, and then there's a section here that says register for classes and groups at no charge. Click there, and then you're going to come down here and you see the AO Scanner Simplified. Click image in order to register. When you click that, it'll take you to the registration page. So if you've registered already, you should have already gotten your welcome letter that tells you how to get into the portal and how to download the app. And it's Practice Better is where you're going to go, drdaryl.practicebetter.io. If you are having any trouble past that, like if you don't even have that, if you don't know even how to get into the portal itself, then email me. And basically, if you respond to any of the emails that you've got from me, it comes right to me. drdarylnd@gmail.com. Hope that makes sense. All right, Terry. Hang on, I'm going to come to you now. And I'm going to, yes, Terry, you should be able to unmute.
Okay, I just want to know if you'll post something. I have all the tech. Doing all the tech takes me a minute. I would like to learn to do the subfolders for my clients in Google.
You got Gmail?
I do have Gmail. It's not what I'm registered with you for.
Sure, yeah.
I
It's
do
funny
have
that you
Gmail.
say that because you're now the third person to ask me to do that. So one of
Good,
the
I'm not
things that I've been
uneducated
thinking
by
about
myself.
doing is creating a sub portion of this course for practitioners. Right?
Perfect.
And showing you, because this is simplified, meaning I'm trying to make the AO scanner so that everybody can just get in there and do it. But there are people who are practitioners who are going to want to learn more of my methods of how I work.
That's
And
me.
I think that I will do that now. Add that on. I think you've tipped me over the edge.
Okay.
And I think that I'm going to do that. And in that, yeah, I'll give you all of my little tricks. Just know that it's really technical, but I'll do it in a way where it's like step by step. You click here and you do this, and you click here and you do that.
I
It's a pain
appreciate
in the butt to set up, but once you have it set it up, you just duplicate it and for every client, and it becomes easy.
I really am trying to totally get away from paper because in 2017 during Hurricane Harvey, I lost everything. All my patient files from 25, 26 years were submerged in water for like weeks.
Yeah.
So it all had to be burned and destroyed. I'm really trying to learn to do it online,
Okay.
digital. So I'd appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yep.
you.
You're welcome. When I do that, everybody thank Terry. She's the one who pushed me over the edge to do it. So thank you. All right. I am going to say, so I got a couple of responses from people on that already. Lauren says, I need the practitioner class as well. When will you start that? Arlene says, I don't know the date. I don't know. It's probably going to be towards the end, unless I sneak it in as a class that's not on Mondays. I'm trying to make everything on the day that I said I was going to make it on Mondays. All right, there's somebody with their hand up. All I see is iPhone, so I cannot tell who this person is to give you a name, but please unmute yourself and ask your question. Somebody with an iPhone has their hand up. I have clicked ask to unmute. You're going to have to unmute yourself, though. Going once. Going twice. All right. I'm going to go back down here to the... to the chat, and then I will let you all go. I can't believe that I really have, I feel like I have gotten a lot done in 90 minutes. All right, hold on. It's another one here. I have an iPhone and I run into having issues playing the pulse tones. Sometimes it plays it, sometimes it doesn't. If I switch apps and come back and it won't play the sound, I can always play the classic tones, but the pulse tones are iffy on my device. I can't speak to that, Arlene. I don't have that device, not that device. I don't have that issue, and I have an iPhone. My iPhone isn't even new. My phone sucks, and I don't know. I don't have that one as an issue. All right. I feel like I've gotten to everything here. All right. I think that's it. Unless somebody raises their hand in the next 60 seconds, I'm going to dismiss this class. Thank you all for joining me as we talk about energy. Make sure you join me tomorrow. Amy, I'm coming to you. Make sure you join me tomorrow, though, where we will be getting into the inner voice. And here's the thing about tomorrow's class. I already have one volunteer. I'd like another one. Email me if you want to volunteer to be one of the case studies for tomorrow's class, which means I want to go over your latest inner voice report. I want to talk to you. I need you to be on camera. I need you to understand that your name is going to show because I'm going to physically pull the report up and we're going to go through it. So if I'm looking for one more person, if you're interested and you have the AO scanner, this needs to be somebody with, well, hopefully if you don't have the AO scanner, you're not in the class. But this needs to be somebody willing to share their report. All right, Amy, I am coming to you now, and I'm gonna ask you to unmute. All right, Amy, you should be able to unmute.
Hi there.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. This has been fabulous. I'm really enjoying this.
Good.
The question I have for you is when you're talking about practitioners and you're going to go ahead and teach us about folders and stuff. In the folders, Are you also putting the reports into like Google, what do you call it, Abba? Google Docs or anything like that? So
I
you're
used to.
separating the reports?
I'm not separating them. What I'm doing is I'm actually emailing. All right. This is going to really sound nerdy. So don't laugh at me, okay?
I'm not gonna laugh.
I'll laugh.
Who is
That's
that?
my
What's his
husband.
name? What's his name? Huh?
Ruvain.
Say it again.
Ruvain.
Rudain?
Ruvain.
Ruvain?
Come here,
Stop
Abba.
laughing at me. I don't appreciate that. Ruvain is pretty cool. All right. So this is what I do.
He's
I
crazy.
have an email address that's set up,
Okay.
and you know how you go into the scanner, and for those of you who are brand new to the scanner, don't pay any attention to what I'm saying, and don't do this because you will not be able to accomplish this. Only do this if I've taught you the tricks. All right. So I have a special email address, and all of my clients get that email address in their profile. Their email address never goes there. Right.
Okay.
So whenever I'm done, I send report. I click on the little mail thing, and it sends the report to that email. When
Gotcha.
that email address gets it, there's a whole set of mechanisms that gets kicked off. If the words inner voice are inside of the subject line,
Okay.
they also get a copy of it. So the email system will send them a copy of the email if it has
that's
inner voice on
sweet.
it. If it doesn't have inner voice on it, they don't get a copy because I only send my clients the inner voice report. I'll
Nice.
explain that at a certain point because from the standpoint of what they need to do anything with, from my perspective, the inner voice is
Right.
the only thing that can really help them to discern stuff. Everything else is for me to discern. So
Okay.
if it has inner voice, and that stops me from having to email it and change the email address. I mean, I know now we have the little thing that says, send to me. That doesn't really help me out because I would still have to put their email address in there and I don't have a way to just send to me. So I send it to myself. My email system will send them a copy if they're
Okay.
supposed to get a copy. If they're not supposed to get a copy, it then just moves it into their subfolder where it all
Right.
sits there. And
Right.
that is, those things just happen automatically. So I have systems in place to do that every time I get a new patient or a client, I just duplicate it and add that person's name. But there's
Okay.
a bunch of steps that you have to do in order to get it set up. But once it's there, then you just duplicate it.
Okay. Fantastic.
So
Sounds great.
that is that's something that I will get into when I get into the practitioner side, which everybody is welcome to join, even if you're not a practitioner. It's not going to be a different class. It's just going
Right.
to be more classes added on. So this now ensures that we're going to go past 14 weeks.
That's awesome.
All
The
right.
more, the better.
Good. That answered your question?
Thank you so much for everything.
Oh, you're welcome. You are absolutely welcome. She's sweet. And her husband laughs at me, but I still like him. All right. I think that is it, everybody. I thank you all so much. Christina says we need the tech tricks. All right, Christina, I got you. Thank you, everybody, for joining me for this time. I'm going to try to be respectful of your time every week. I'm setting in 90 minutes, but just prepare to be about 2 hours. And if you can't hang in there with me, I get it. I raised kids. I was a single dad. I know that you have responsibilities, but no, everything will always be recorded and everything will be available for you to get back right in there. This will be the format, except for tomorrow. We're going to always start with question and answer. So tomorrow we're going to do inner voice. And at the end of inner voice, we're going to have question and answer. The next week, we're going to have vitals, but I'm going to start the vitals class with question and answer on inner voice. Why? Because now you've had a week to play with what I said, and you're going to have questions that are different from the questions that you had when I said it. All right. And I know that. Knowing that, I want to answer the questions before I start a new topic on the last topic. So when we get to comprehensive, I'm going to start with questions on vitals now that you've had a week to play with it. All right. See you all in class tomorrow. If you have not signed up, there's still time to sign up. 7 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow. I'll be back here. All right. Thank you all. And I will see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.